best hunter.
All right, guys, was truly good with you once again. So I was requested to go back and do a review, an official review on the LaunchKey 37 here from Novation from my previous video. And I made a few points there, but we just need to go deeper apparently. So the first thing I want to start off with reviewing this board is your purpose and intent. Most people wait till later to talk about that, but I want to talk about that up front. So my purpose and intent for getting this was for traveling. So I had a studio session in San Francisco with my brother, Kevin Ross. We had such a good time and I needed something to travel on the plane with. This ended up being the perfect form factor to fit into my Gator bag. And I did have to let off the top of the lid of the bag a bit because it was a few inches off. However, I still was able to get this comfortably in my travel Gator size bag. So that was the main thing. Then the second thing was the amount of keys, of course. So 37 is like the good blend and in between 25 and 49. So in this case, for the 37, for the LaunchKey, I found one that was native to Ableton. And as I said in my previous video, for my subscribers, if you don't know already, your boy has migrated over to Ableton. So this is really an important factor. So the intent for me was travel, compact, and direct correlation to Ableton. Now I'm gonna start off by saying this. If you're not an Ableton user and you just need a standard MIDI controller, I wouldn't choose this. I wouldn't go for it. I would go for something that is more along the lines of like a Keystation 49 or something like that, and compare it to something like that. Like I would rather have more keys or just get another option, just because these keys are not the best feeling. Now, as I said in my previous video, as a producer, these keys feel solid. I am not trying to perform with this keyboard. I'm not trying to be an elegant keyboardist. I just want to make good vibes. So it works for that. So if you are an Ableton user, then this is where, honestly, majority of this video is just going to be communicating to. This is going to communicate to Ableton users directly because of all of the controls. Now, with all of that said, let's go into this joint. So we have, started from left to right, of course, we have our pitch bend, slick. We have our modulation, standard, goes to 127. Then we have a couple of things here. We have our latch and ARP. So if we turn on our ARP, get some cool stuff. It's really dope. Now you can change the ARP, of course, in the patterns by hitting ARP, and then you have the different controls of ARP patterns that you can choose from. So we have the arm lock on, or we could turn it off. Then we have our scale right below that, and this is set to C minor. You can change that, of course, to whatever you want. And then we have our octaves right conveniently over to the left. Really dope. Now, next to that, we have our shift button here, and this is going to give us multi-functions for everything you see over here, from device volume, all these different things. We can hit the shift button and then we can go into these different modes using the pads, and we're going to talk about these pads in just a few. So this is really dope for that. So right now this is set to volume and then it's set in session, so we can see the corresponding tracks to Ableton over here. So right now we have Keyscape open. So if we move this over, we can actually go to our different tracks, which is these arrows here to the left and to the right. Then of course we have our settings, and you can customize different things here in your settings, to drums, to the velocity curve, and pad, aftertouch, polyphonic, all the different things. You have all of these different modern functions available to you. So it's a lot behind the hood of this Novation LaunchKey 37. They've done a great job with that. And then we have our fixed chord. So then you have these arrows going up and down, and this is what I would use basically to navigate the different scenes here. So if we look in Ableton to see how this corresponds, you can see that we have all of our different roles. And of course, we'll make a vibe, of course, and fill in some of these roles and be able to do like some arrangements. But that's what your up and down cursor is for over here. Then up here, we have what is natively set to our volume, right now. So if I turn this knob up and down, you'll see that that corresponds to our keyscape track. All right. And this goes per track. So this will be for the last 2 tracks. So we have the audio track here and then this audio track over here. Now, what's so dope about this is on other controllers, if the volume knob is set or if the volume fader is set at a certain volume, Ableton will jump and adjust to where you have your volume set. I really like that this starts off at 0, and then if you decide to change the volume, it corresponds later. So I think that's really dope. So right now this is currently set to volume, but we can change this, of course, to pan. So we can go to shift and hit pan, and this changes the panning. All right, really dope. And then we have our sends. So we can come over here to sends, and this controls if we want to send this to the reverb or not. See that? All right, super convenient. And then we have custom mode, where basically you can customize whatever you want these things to do in Ableton and reassign certain things, and that's really dope as well. Now we could pull up the drum kit. I do have some stuff to say about these pads, actually using them. So let's pull up a kit here, one of my own kits. We're going to set this up right over here. And then we're going to go to shift, and then we're actually going to change this to drum mode. I must say these pads do not feel bad at all. They feel pretty decent. They are very sensitive to your touch, so it doesn't take much to get loud on these pads. It's definitely not like the MPC or anything like that, but it has its own little feel to it. So of course, while you're performing or making a beat, you can actually switch between these different modes and maybe trigger one of your drum racks or trigger one of your sample editors or something like that, or a simpler. You can do that with these pads as well and correspond to it that way, which is really dope. Then we can come over here back to our keys, and we can go ahead and put this into scale chord. And now it's basically set to C minor. Which is really dope. So then we have our user chord, so we can customize this. So let's do that. So we can set up our own chords. Let's come over here and do this one, and we can, let's say we want it to be this. And then let's make another chord. Let's say and you can use this for all kinds of different crazy stuff, for sampling or anything like that, or just triggering something just to have a more creative idea. And you can set this to fixed chord if you want, by hitting fixed chord, which is really dope. So that's pretty much like the left side. Now we can move over to the right side. So we have our device select, which allows you to go between your devices down here in Ableton, which is dope. And then you can do the same thing with device lock, where you can stay on a particular device down here in this area. So I'm gonna pull up one of my DJ effects. So let's do that. And then we got to go into here and go to shift and go to device. And now we can control our device. See there? High cut. Really dope. All right, so that's really dope. I love to use that effect. So we can do that, hit device select and go between our devices. So you can see we're going between Keyscape, RC20, and now our DJ effects. Now this right here, this arrow, this is to launch a clip, which is really dope. And then right now we don't have any information, we'll fill it in. But then we have the stop, solo, and mute options down here. We'll be demonstrating this as well. So right now we have our stop clips where we can just stop something right away on the lower pad mode. Then we can solo whatever we want to listen to while we're tracking or just to get a concept. And then we just have the flat out mute where we can do like the MPC mutes and just kind of mute a track on the fly, which is really dope. So I typically like to leave it on the stop mode and just kind of work from there. And then depending on what I'm building, I'll use the other modes. Then over here to the right, we have our capture MIDI, which is really dope. So let's say I'm playing something right now. I can hit capture MIDI and boom, it capture what I played. All right, a couple of bad notes in there, but you get the point. So that's capture MIDI, which is really dope. We also have the quantize now. So when we make a drum pattern or something like that, we can instantly just hit quantize and it'll quantize it for us, which is really dope. We have our metronome click, self-explanatory. Then we have the undo button. So if you F up like I just did, you can just hit undo and just get rid of that bad performance, which is perfectly applicable. Then everything else is sort of self-explanatory. We have our play button. We don't have anything in the clips right now, but we'll fill it up. We have our stop, our record, and then we have our loop, which is really dope. So that is pretty much all of the buttons from left to right. In the back here, we just have the basic MIDI out. So if you want to MIDI something up to, I don't know, a module or some type of synth or something like that, you have the MIDI out to do that. Then of course we have our sustain pedal, and then of course the USB 2.0. So pretty self-explanatory. My relationship with how these keys feel, I'll say this. It's not gonna feel great. All right, these are MIDI controllers in general. If you want a good feeling MIDI controller, you're not gonna be spending like $150 and $250. You're gonna be spending some money for a good feeling MIDI controller. Or if all else fails, just get you a synthesizer like I don't know, a Kai MPC Key 37 or a Montage 6 or, you know, that's gonna give you the more better feeling keys. So you have to pick your poison when it comes down to the keys feel. So for me, it just works for me. This sounds really good. This is, in terms of clicky clackiness, it makes some noise. And the reason being it makes noise is because you can set the velocity, of course, but I like to just confidently play, specifically when I'm doing drums. I like to use the keys for drums, believe it or not. The pads are cool for sure, but I'm traditional. I love that old school feel of like just having my drums on the keys, showing my age a little bit. So let's put this thing to the test and let's make a vibe, and so you guys can kind of get a feel of it in real time. But most importantly, I want you to see the workflow relationship between this and Ableton. It's really seamless. All right, now we're going to record. Watch how easy it is. Quantize it. Turn off the click, and there you have it. Let's record that. Super easy. Nice. Quantize it. If I want it on top of the beat like that. Yeah. Undo that. Get that natural feel. All right, let's add some keys to this. let's cut that. That's a vibe. Woo! Let's add some bass. Vibes. Woo. Add a little bit of synth. Yeah, let's cut that. Yeah. Now, if you're interested in taking your music production to the next level, being able to play these advanced chords, and you want to learn how to get these bass lines, and you want to improve your production sincerely, then the Viral Sound Masterclass is definitely the space for you, tailor-made for you. That's where you're going to learn all of these complex chords and bass lines, but most importantly, how to come up with them from scratch, where you won't need a MIDI pack and you won't have to go through years of keyboard lessons. I've constructed something that will help you fast track your musicality so you can stand out from the rest. This masterclass also features 6 hours plus content just for you. We talk about production, mixing, and mastering, and how to have a timeless sound. And most importantly, there is a community for you ready to engage with your songs that you submit. I'll be able to critique them as well as the other community members and just have a really good time. But there is no pressure whatsoever. Only if you're interested, you can go ahead and click the link in the description of this video. And I would love to see you in the community, and we can go ahead and engage on the other side. What we can do in Ableton, just in the laptop, we can play this scene in real time and begin to arrange. Let's get this bass over here. Let's just start to arrange something. Let's get something with just the keys. All right, get something with just the drums and the bass. Maybe a version with the synth. And now we have different things we can launch in real time. So let's check out these controls and how they correspond. Let's go to the next scene. You can use that as like an intro. Use this as like a verse. All right, you got all these different options that you can do. Go back to that, like a pre-chorus. Then we over here at the chorus with everything in there. Hey. So I was doing this in a session with my boy Kevin Ross with some engineers, and they were all impressed of like, dude, how are you coming up with these vibes so quickly and effortlessly? Well, because again, the LaunchKey has all these controls that respond directly to Ableton, so it just makes it super easy. So I hope that this deep dive gave you more insight in these different tools and stuff like that. If you didn't already, go ahead and give your brother a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on those bell notifications so you guys don't miss anything else from the channel. Let me know in the comments what else you want to see. It's a lot of stuff out right now. Standalone is the thing. So holler at your boy in the comments and I'll be glad to get into the conversation with you guys.